Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the FinTech Forward podcast series. I'm your host, Stephen Moeller, founder and CEO of Fluxion AI Solutions, creating customized AI solutions for business. Fluxion AI, your trusted growth partner. Today, I'm pleased to announce we have a very special guest joining us from the Twin Cities, Young Bebus. Young Bebus is the principal M&A broker at VR Mergers and Acquisitions, leading a boutique advisory team providing M&A advisory and certified business appraisal services within the Twin Cities. She specializes in assisted living transactions and high-stakes deals across service, manufacturing, and distribution sectors, guiding owners through valuation, negotiation, and strategic exits with discipline, clarity, and confidence. So, Young, thank you so much for joining us today. We're very pleased to have you here. We're looking forward to the conversation. But before we get into all that, we thought we'd maybe just tell us a little bit more about yourself, your career journey, or anything else you'd like to share.
Thanks for the invitation, Stephen. It's an honor to be part of the podcast, your podcast guest. I'll be happy to share my journey professionally. What I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit of what I'm doing now, as you've done an introduction for me. I appreciate that. And going backward of my time here. So currently managing the VR Twin Cities office as a M&A broker. And also a certified business appraiser. So what I do is I'm helping customers to help with their exit planning, business valuation, whether certified or non-certified, and also going through the full service M&A transactions, whether it is a sell side representation or buy side representation. I am a certified M&A professional, certified business appraiser, and also a reviewer of the certified appraisal. And enjoy the work that we do with the small team that we have here at the office. Yeah. Work with small business owners to low mid-market business owners. Generally, transaction size would be up to around $10 to $20 million. And our sweet spot is low mid-market businesses. A variety of sectors. Prior to opening up the brokerage about 9 years ago, I was in the assisted living management and operations services, and I oversaw Iowa, state of Minnesota, and Wisconsin locations. Managed about a few hundred staff across the board, and enjoyed that role quite a bit. I say I grew up in that industry for about 17 years in assisted living. Dealt with many different side of the healthcare, home cares, and in that space, working in the C-suite. And prior to that, I was studying in South Korea, and that was in apparel design and the visual communication space. So when I meet with the other advisors in our space too, there are a lot of people who walked different walks of life with the different backgrounds, and I'm one of those. I would say the balance between the right brain and left brain, creativity serves me well many days, and but also the disciplined approach and structure in operation management helped me going through the transactions, working with my clients. So I grew up in South Korea, came here in 1997. It's been quite the journey, and I came here right after my college time in South Korea. So seen the kind of two different spectrum of cultures, and enjoy working with the business owners and sellers and buyers from many different cultures too.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Yes, a wonderful story. You know, everybody's got a unique story, and I definitely enjoyed hearing that. So thank you so much. So let's talk about your business. You know, M&A can be exciting, or it can be, you probably know better, it could be a little trepidation. You know, there's certain, right? Because there's certain drivers that get people to sell their business. Hey, I'm doing really well. I'm going to sell my money and make a big profit. Or hey, my business isn't doing so well. So talk to us about the dynamics of not only not the services you offer, yes, but like kind of what are some of the scenarios where clients maybe approach you to say, hey, I really need your help on this valuation, this M&A sell side, because I don't know what I'm doing and I know I need to get the best value out of this.
Right. Yeah, thanks for that question. So what are the motivations behind the sellers of the business owners? We have a variety, and I have to say that I work quite a bit of business owners who are looking to retire. Whether some are ready to retire in their 50s, some are ready to retire in their 70s, and some are not ready to retire in their 80s. So business owners are all different, wide spectrum. Retiring from their business, a lot of times business owners come with management of 20 years to 30 years. And I've had one couple who've been in their family business for 50 years want to sell. So it's a long years of investment and the hard work and the sweat equity they put in to grow the business. Or some have taken over the family business and have continued to grow the business. So a lot of times our retirement, and that reason of retirement could be also varied too. Some will have a motivation of I want to spend more time with doing something I want to enjoy, like traveling and being able to be away from business. To business owners who are pretty absent and they're doing well without being involved too much, but then they need a capital for other types of businesses that they already own. So maybe to fund another business. And it could be another retirement could look like I'm pretty absent, I do well, my family's involved in the business, they run the business well, but also I want to be ready in the event something happens to me. I want the business to be ready to be transitioned well. And I would rather have that done at my choice and my time than waiting until crisis happens, like health crisis. Those are some of the reasons. I have other business owners who are just ready for a new venture in their younger age, in their 40s and 50s. They want to do something different, invest money into something different. And so, and some are strategic reasons where they want to position their business to be exiting, and potentially they can remain in the business for next so many years to get the second bite of apple. So they vary based on the business circumstances and individual needs.
Excellent. Yeah, I would imagine there's probably quite a dynamic between the types of businesses, but the personalities of the owners and the leadership, and as you mentioned, age, generations, and their motivations for selling, right? Or do they just want to sell and exit completely, or do they want to, allocate capital elsewhere? So that's great. Now, I was curious about, you said you do business valuations. Is that kind of like an independent, objective valuation of a business, not necessarily representing one side or the other? How does that work?
Right. So that's a good question, an important question when it comes to business valuation. A lot of times M&A brokers will do a opinion of value report that would be positioning business for sale. Now there is a certified business appraisal that is used for different reasons that requires a certification behind the report. And that would be potentially estate planning, gifting, or probate reason. If the business owner or partner passes away, the business needs to go through the probate to have a follow-up process, or a partnership separation or a divorce. So in that case, it depends on the organizational structure and who is calling for appraisal, for what reasons. The valuation, the process is similar, but the outcome of that could vary. Depends on why the evaluation, business appraisal needs to be done. For example, if the business partners are going through a separation and minority owner who owns 20% request a business appraisal to be sold out and for the partner to buy out, then I would be looking at a minority ownership value versus 100% business value. So then application of discount for the valuation related to the lack of control and lack of marketability applies. So then So it's a more methodical process and disciplined process that we drive a market value of that certain percentage of the ownership.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yep. Yeah, you mentioned something that I've heard a few times with those in the industry. When you're in M&A deal, having a structured process and a competitive process is absolutely key, and that's where people such as yourself and VR come into play, to where they create that process, because without it, the odds of success are not as great. So that's wonderful.
Right.
Tell me about, is there anything exciting going on with your firm now, or the industry that you're seeing that you're really excited about? Any changes or pivots or anything of interest?
At a high level, we have, consolidation continues to happen in the marketplace. That is, the type of buyers that we have out there over the course of years. There are more and more different types of buyers. There are different types of private equity companies out there, funded or unfunded, or search fund companies. A lot of entrepreneurs through acquisition type of buyers as well, and strategic buyers. We work with a variety of different types of buyers. Over the course of years, I've seen the buyers are more disciplined. It's not about sort of growing the empire. It's about the having a strategic, disciplined acquisition in their portfolio for various reasons. And as far as with that, also SBA environment has changed as well. So that makes a difference in how the banks approach the financing, like more sensitivity test and shock test based on the certain types of businesses. We've seen that going through. Would you call that exciting? And we always anticipate a disciplined approach in the acquisition. We're prepared for that. What we find is that, we work quite a bit with assisted living business owners in healthcare space. As you know, we're in the state of Minnesota, so state of Minnesota being under scrutiny of sort of Department of Human Services, DHS investigation going on, and a lot of people ask, what do I see as an impact? Businesses that I work with, owners generally approach with questions about how does it impact my valuations. And I think based on the payer sources, their buyers are looking at that a little bit more carefully, what's happening in the state. So discipline plus some sensitivity test in addition to what has happened in the past. Again, is an excitement or is a change in differences? I would call that a little bit of differences in the marketplace now when the buyers are looking at the projects. So it requires more due diligence work in our space.
Right.
So we assist our clients looking at the required to go into market. And for us, you might think it's strange, we find that exciting, but it is exciting for us to kind of look through, peel the onion to make sure that business is ready for go-to-market strategy, and it will be ready for a buyer's due diligence as well. So we help prepare and transition for that reasons too. What other exciting things? Right now we're working with the clients who owns different types of businesses, and every day is different. Every deal is different. We have, as transactional as it may sound, the scene behind the working with the business owner is dealing with their emotions and their where they are in the process, and how nerving that is for some of the business owners. For even when they work with the staff of, say, 50 staff and staff members, and their job day-to-day basis is to drive that, the bus that their staff are on. But behind the scene, they're very nervous going through this process. A lot of times we become the sounding board for them. And that's exciting for us to do the continuing work in that space. So day to day to help them retire if they want to do a retirement, going through a retirement and hearing their stories. And to us, that's exciting to be able to help them go through that transition to make it a fruitful process.
Yeah, yes. I mean, a business transaction, that's a significant life event, right? So I completely understand what you're saying. You've got the owners who are highly emotionally invested in it, yet, as we talked before, you need a structured, disciplined process. That's where you come into play, the objective, non-emotionally invested person, but you still have to manage that business owner. But still, keep them on track in terms of reality and getting the most value. So I could see that's all to say that service is definitely in high demand and valued.
It requires a critical thinking. It requires the relationship, requires a trust. And to talk about some of the biggest challenges that they have behind the scene of going through the transaction. And I've had a case where business owners, on the day of closing, we finished the closing, went to the closing dinner, and it was a husband and a wife couple who owned a wholesale distribution company for 50 years, taken over their family business, and finally sold and retiring. And the wife just burst into tears, and she said, "It just feels so surreal to finally say I'm finally retiring, and that day has come." Because it's a different from employment, where you can have employment retirement party to go and say I'm retired versus selling business and retiring. It's just a different notion.
Yeah, very much attached to it as an owner. Yes, absolutely. It becomes ingrained in you. So yeah, I totally understand. Okay, so tell me, I'm interested, or tell us, I'm interested. So we talked a little bit about your role, but maybe tell us about kind of how that fits into the strategy, and more importantly, what does the day-to-day look like for Young? What are you kind of engaged in at work, outside of work, or what's a typical day? I know probably no day's the same, no 2 days are the same, but kind of what are you engaged in most of the time?
So day-to-day professionally, when I come into the office, I do utilize my AI tools nowadays quite well.
Very good.
Look at my days and structure them with the help of AI. And get to my work, and it involves the transactional deal flow as to where I'm at. So this morning, I worked on having conversations with many different parties, other advisors within the deal transaction. That would be attorney, and then or environmental assessment surveyors or inspectors or business owners and buyers. I think this morning alone I just had a lot of different discussions about the deal that I'm working on right now, just to get the due diligence process going forward. Financial analysis of the deal that we'll be getting ready to present to go to the engagement process. And so that would be a business development part. And talking with the potential buyers on the deals that we want to put it under contract. So those are kind of my day, what it looks like.
Okay.
And working with other advisors to kind of cooperate on the deals together and getting the deal moving. So in a big picture, my day is helping the deal to close, and then helping other advisors to close a deal, and then also working on the financial analysis and the valuation work that I do.
Very good.
Personal end, I wake up in the morning, I start out with getting my children ready for school. So I think as a business owner, as a business owner, we are still a family. Part of the family, and for me, I always think about the important part of my work is to be the mom for my kids, and so that comes, as a priority, and business, and everything that I do is kind of anchored around being the good person, good role model, and having that legacy as a family too. and my day after my work hours, I don't have set hours. Obviously, as a business owner, I have to
Yeah.
integrate. Sometimes I get the phone calls in the evening watching my son's hockey game. So that's what my day looks like.
Good.
And I enjoy that. It comes with a challenge. But day
Yes.
to day, it's a lot of coordination.
Yeah. Yeah. That's excellent. Love it. Yeah, we're superheroes at work and at home too. So love it. Thank you for sharing that. So you mentioned your AI tools, which is a perfect segue into our next topic, which is everybody's favorite, which is technology. Talk to us a little bit about how technology has kind of evolved in your business, but more importantly, how has it helped you scale, grow, become more efficient? What are some of the tools that you currently have, and what are some that maybe you're interested in, or anything you'd like to provide in terms of the impact of technology in your day-to-day business?
That's a great question. I'll break it down to what I have been using in my day-to-day with AI, what I like to see it happen kind of going forward. Um, so I don't know how many passwords you have. We have many different softwares we use with the different passwords, obviously. Um, Part of the programs and platform that we utilize a lot that helps our business day-to-day is our deal flow program with the CRM component in it. So it doesn't cover all of the infrastructure needs, but it does cover a significant part of our customer relationship management, which includes a buyer and seller and other advisors going through the deal transaction flow. So we integrate automation within our system where when buyers inquire information about the business, we want to help them get to the information as efficiently, effectively as they can upon that they submit the non-disclosure agreement. So we have that potential, that part of the work mostly automated. And that's really kind of utilizing the AI component to make sure that we are communicating properly, efficiently, as responsive as we possibly can. And also our deal flow, due diligence documentations, we provide a data room to our parties that are in the deal transaction, and certain functions of that is also automated to make sure that our parties, buyers and sellers can get to them as far as uploading it and then receiving the information. So we have that part automated as well. And I utilize AI component when I do the appraisal work. But it's as good as input. So critical thinking of inputting the information, what sequence and in what manner, and in what order, I find that is very important. So I utilize it on a day-to-day basis, and I literally have AI software opened up in my desktop. And it's helping with it has become sort of the executive assistant, if you may, to really help draft certain documents. But again, I find that it's as good as an input that I do provide, and in the manner that how I question. I remember going through my general MBA work, we talked about you don't end up knowing everything. I can't compete with AI when it comes to the knowledge base and the information that's out there. However, it's about what you know, how you should ask, and what you should ask. If I don't ask it properly, it doesn't produce the output as it should. So I do use that on a day-to-day basis currently. Now, how I like to see it, impact my with the AI, how I'd like to see that impact my businesses. It's really giving a little bit more robust infrastructure from lead generation to CRM to deal data flow. We do have that to a certain degree, but not to the degree that is all automated. And we're always a human. When buyers are searching for information too, buyers generally really appreciate the callback and having dialogue with on the in the front end of the inquiry. So we try to provide that as much as we can. So combining that human component along with the AI automation component, I think it's something that I'd like to see that be more robust for my business, for business growth.
I completely agree. Yes, AI can do a lot. It has a lot of its advantages. However, it's not intended to operate autonomously. You are very much in a trust-based business. You're talking about businesses, lots of money, transactions. So it still requires the HI, which is the human interaction. So I agree completely. AI cannot completely replace a process. It can just take maybe the automations stuff that maybe takes up time and was tedious to provide more time for the human interaction. So that's a very, very good point. Just a few more questions. So in terms of your business, maybe talk to us about, are there any, stated goals coming up, 12, 18, 24 months, or anything you're challenged with right now, or what's kind of the state of your business going forward, if you would?
Yeah, with our business, I think we're with more disciplined due diligence in the buyer's market. It's really managing the expectations of the business owners who's getting ready for sale, and educating them in the marketplace so their businesses are ready. And I think you might have heard certain statistics where 70% of businesses aren't ready for sale, or maybe more than that. And in fact, I had this conversation with my client this morning, and his comment was, "I'm just so surprised how much of work there is to do." So some owners are ready and they have their information ready to go. Most of the small business owners, whether you're selling $8 million or $9 million or $15 million businesses, still it's a new territory for the business owners. So managing the expectations for the value, but also managing the expectations of the due diligence process, and educating upfront about that is always something. Our goal is to do a better job with that. So in the next 12, 18 months, we are working on launching a what's called a Sell Well Summit. And it's going to be an online program that we are providing some additional resources for the business owners who need to tap into what I need to get ready for sale, or how do I manage my value drivers, or what are the value drivers of my business. Understanding that component is going to be very important, because although there are a lot of buyers, we're still looking for good businesses for sale. And we also want to assist those business owners who wants to sell, who might not be ready for sale. So we are trying to approach from different angles of education. And to me, and that, with the other advisors that I work with in our office, education is a really important component, because we want to help them be ready if they're ready to sell. And ultimately, it takes time for sale. Business transaction doesn't happen within a matter of a few months. I have had times where I sold a business in about a matter of 2 to 3 months, but it was a cash transactions, and with the right buyer, right seller, good business, and we were able to make that happen. Most of the time, we're looking at least about 6 to 9 months to be efficient. For businesses that are regulatorily more need to have a stronger regulatory compliance component, and licensing component takes longer sometimes, because we need to go through those approval agencies for licenses to be exchanged, change of ownership applications, and the approval of that license or certification takes time for that. So we want to be prepared for those. So we want to talk about those through education. So Sell Well Summit is something that we're preparing, myself and some other collaborators in the marketplace, including attorney and CPAs and financial advisors, so that owners understand from what to prepare prior to sale and what to expect during the sale, and then what to prepare for their post-sale transaction with their sellers' proceeds to have a most effective management of their financials. So we want to make a more holistic approach, and that's our goal. And also without losing the touch of the why I do what I do, helping business owners to be able to exit well, smoothly, but also have those transactions handled ethically. It's very important for us, and not to lose the essence of that. Always keep in mind the human component of our role as advisors, being they're a sounding board, but also help them with the structuring the process and give them guidance by kind of peeling the onion of their business and the things that are impacting their businesses, to have those dialogues. So that's something we're looking forward to ongoing basis. Also implementing some additional AI component, because we want to be the business that's celebrating AI and be part of that process. Because if we fight it, we're going to be, I think, a sore losers. So,
I love hearing you say that. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, here's the thing with AI. One, it's a hot topic. But the thing with it is there's so much out there. Is one, you have to build trust. People have to trust it. And that's what we do by these conversations and these transactions that we do. Hey, let me tell you what AI really is, not what you just Google searched or what your neighbor told you. Let me take you behind the scenes and show you how the AI works so that you build trust and competence and ultimately. But yes, the AI revolution is upon us. You do have to navigate the waters strategically to make sure that any business, that you're getting the right technology solutions, right? That optimize and maximize your value. So, yep, I completely agree. Well, I think that's a great way to end it here. Young, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really been a pleasure hearing from you. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you today. But before we wrap, any final thoughts for the audience?
I think the being open-minded with what we do. Stephen, because you are in the AI space, and I do want to say, I think that's being open-minded and how to integrate in our day-to-day work, and also adopting it in the more of infrastructure level could potentially be via value drivers. We talk a lot about the within the business, what are the value drivers? There's revenue and earnings, there's organizational structure, the roles, properties, and many different things that are impacting it. When the company has a good system in place, and when the company has a good infrastructure in place, that does add to the value. It's a lot of times through an acquisition for buyers, it's not necessarily kind of building that empire. It's about risk mitigation, creating the risk mitigation of the value that has been created with the consolidation activities. So what does that look like by having a good system in place that's going to protect your asset of whether it is earnings or the business assets that's in place. So that's for business owners in the sense. And, I think takeaway is always, with that said, human relationship doesn't go away. Critical thinking human being who's guiding the AI, I say guiding the AI to give the right sort of input with the AI that's in place, with the critical thinking and research and all the tools that's necessary. I think it becomes a very powerful tool. So I look forward to in the next few years how the industries are going to reshape and how the leadership is going to reshape in that sense, working with tools that we do have. So those are my thoughts within technology and AI nowadays, as long as, Stephen, you're in that space.
Yeah, I completely agree. It'll be interesting times, and it's always something. Whether it was the creation of the internet, whether it was whatever, e-commerce, whatever, email. Now here we are with AI, so it's just the next wave. So we're all in the same boat, though. So yeah, that's great. So Young, again, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, folks. Check us out online, VR Twin Cities, Fluxion AI Solutions. Also, check out our YouTube channel, Fluxion AI Solutions. Like and subscribe. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next time. Until then, be well, friends. Take care.
Thank you.